Okay, welcome everyone. Tonight, distinguished Toastmaster Anne Doucette is with us to present this webinar on pathways. Anne has been a Toastmaster since September 2016, having first attended a speechcraft program. She joined at the suggestion of her manager as he thought it would help her with public speaking and confidence. I'm going to put my glasses on. That will help me read this better. She told him she didn't want to join Toastmasters because it scared her. He told her that that is why she should join. And she did. She never realized how much she would grow to enjoy being a Toastmaster, evolving, improving her public speaking skills and leadership skills. Anne is proficient in 10 paths. She was telling me earlier she didn't think she was an expert, but I would beg to differ that that may very well make her an expert. She is currently working on path number 11, and she's held numerous club officer roles. She's a past area director, division director, public relations manager, all for District 45, and also past co-chair of the 2023 District 45 contest, which was my conference rather, which was my very first conference and such a fun time. Today, though, she will be helping us navigate the new and improved base camp, which brings all Toastmasters an enhanced pathways experience. Listen tonight as Anne shares tips and tricks to help you and members of your club maximize use of the new base camp. So over to you, Anne. And thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Jenny, for the warm welcome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. I'm looking forward to speaking with you tonight about pathways in the learning management system. I beg to differ. I am not an expert. There are always things to learn. I will do a live demo so that we can go through some things. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the meeting, whether in the chat or out loud. Jenny will help me mod.
Anne had mentioned that she's having a little bit of internet instability, so we'll see. Hopefully this will. Can you hear me? Okay. So we'll just give it a couple seconds here. I'm sorry, folks.
Is it helpful if we go off?
Let's try that. Let's try that. Thank you, Sue. It may help if we all go off video.
Well, she's logging back on again.
But yeah, let's just, I'm so sorry if we could just maybe give her a couple of minutes to see if she can log back in.
Oh, haven't we all been there?
Yes.
It's frustrating.
We're waiting in anticipation, like Marion's cats appear to be waiting for a treat.
And then all the people that are going to come in late won't have any idea that they haven't missed anything, really.
We're Toastmasters. We should be able to entertain ourselves.
Well, we should indeed. That's right. It's hardly the electrician's convention, is it? Well, I'm not being rude about electricians, by the way.
And by the way, those two cats, the front one is Lola. She passed away in May with liver failure, and the vets could not save her. But we still have the one in behind. That's Nina.
And they were the same litter.
They were the same litter, but Nina was about 2.5 times the size of Lola. Lola was so tiny for her age. She would have been 10 in September, and she still only weighed like 3 pounds.
Wow.
But Nina is Charlie's cat. She's on his legs when he's sleeping, sitting on the couch. She's right there with him. If he leaves and goes anywhere for the day, she's she greets him at the door.
Well, it takes the pressure off you.
Yeah, but Lola was my cat.
Oh, well, it's time for a kitten.
She used to join me in many Toastmaster meetings. In fact, one club threatened to charge her membership because she attended so many meetings. And they were adopted, by the way. They were abandoned, and we adopted them.
Oh, wow. Did you like from a shelter?
No, this was a coworker of mine. Her neighbor found 6 abandoned cats at the end of a dirt road at a potato field, and it was October, and they were different sized cats, so they weren't even the same litter. And so my friend took pictures and posted them and sent me copies at the data center, and I posted them there. And then I called my husband and I said, Socrates and Skittle have both died of kidney failure. We need cats. So I went to get one, but these two were acted inseparable, so I brought them both home.
Well, they look sweet.
They are.
That's a speech there, Marianne.
Yes, I've given the speech. I started out with Buddy. He was in our barn, and we didn't even realize he was there for a while. We don't know where he came from. Oh, there's Sandbag.
That's the beauty of internet. It totally kicked me out. This is a second computer. We'll see if this one works.
I love the name too, by the way, Cookie.
I'm
The
just
name
trying
is-
to log into the Toastmasters website.
I wasn't sure if we were being Zoom bombed when I saw that name. Although, you know, Zoom bombers probably wouldn't have such a sweet looking name.
I'm like, what are you talking about? That was a Christmas special that we did. And I guess I haven't used the Zoom on this account since then.
Oh, man.
All right, let's try this again. I will share my screen. And get right into Basecamp. So I'm a member of 2 clubs, so we'll see 2. So we will get into Basecamp here. And I do really enjoy the new features. There's a lot of cool things that are available on the website. You can see, and we'll go through different steps here.
We can't see your screen, and
It's trying to share.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So you can see here, we'll walk through the different headings here, paths and learning, achievements, feedback, and resources. We'll first hit the paths and learning. So at the very top, you see the active paths that are there. Currently, as per my introduction, I'm working on my 11th path. So there's one here. There's some suggested learning, and you can see all your completed paths here. I won't go into those tonight, but if I look into my active path, now for anybody who had an active path prior to the conversion of the new LMS system, the learning management system in October, you still have access to that path. It may look a little bit different because it still has the same look and feel as the old learning system, but it's been embedded into this Basecamp. So you still are able to access it and complete those projects. It'll just look a little bit different for the ones that you have started. If you open it, you'll definitely see that the look and feel is a little bit different. And I'll apologize, this computer will be a little bit slower than the other one. So I'm just trying to get through different parts of it.
And I just wanted to ask very quickly, are we going to be able to see the expired paths that are no longer offered in this interface? We don't, or do we have to log into an old interface?
If you had it purchased prior to the upgrade, you will still be able to see it and access it. It'll just look a little bit differently. If you had not, if you did not have it in progress prior to, you will not be able to access it or find it.
Understand. Thank you.
Unless it's completed.
Understand. Thank you.
So here is where you have an overview and you can see all the paths through here. Level 1 here, this shows that it's all complete. I won't go through them all unless somebody wants me to, but I'll go through one of the ones that I have in progress. And I like that it does have some bookmarks that you can pick up where you've left off and it'll open it. So if I'm in a certain page, it'll continue on that page. So if I go to the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring, it brings me right to the beginning of it. That's where I was at. And you can see all the different sections within that project. I like how on the very first page, it talks about the project and what the purpose of this project is. And I like how the resources are right at the very beginning. You can go through the project checklist, the evaluation resources, as well as the whole project. I often click on here and print the project and save it on my computer. It gives you a PDF version. It's not interactive, but at least it's a print version of a PDF. Like Marion said before the meeting started, that she sometimes will print them and then be able to work on them offline. Or you can just have them saved on your computer and have everything offline. So this is a great tip to have. I know, for example, when the base camp was down, I had many of the French projects saved and I was able to share them with the district so that they could go on the website. Then you, as per the previous learning management system, you click through the projects and read through it and go through them. There are some interesting new features that I do like that they've added, especially this section, the assess before and after is gone and it's been replaced by know, wonder, and learn. So it's a great opportunity to be able to provide some information here. So you can add comments. So for example, there's one here that says, I know the value of mentoring. So you can add another item and add your personal thoughts on what you know about mentoring. Wonder here, I wonder the difference between coaching and mentoring. You can add some more comments and these stay within your profile. Nobody else has access to it, but it's a great tool to be able to go back and look through some of the comments that you've put in. And just keep going through the project and go through different iterations, different buttons that you get to push and have some additional information. Some of them here, they're little cards and you flip through them. You keep going through, and if you wanted to skip some sections or you wanted to go back to some sections, you can do that just by going on here. Now, and if I go back to the front page, go back to the overview section, and then I click back to the level 2 mentoring project, it should bring me back to the page that I was at when I left. So if I go back to Toastmasters mentoring, it should bring me back to that page that I was at as well. So it brings me back to page 8. So to review and apply, this is where I was at. So I like the ability to be able to add some comments here. So how would you demonstrate reliability as a mentor? what makes a mentor successful and effective. So those are all things that kind of you can just take the time to sit and think through and answer at your leisure before you do your project. And again, here's as to what you need to do. You can add some tasks if you would like. And there is also an overview of the evaluation on what are some of the things that an evaluator looks at. So you can read those as well. And then after you have ready to complete your project, you have a spot here that's called Learn. So you can add a task about what it is you learned after reading through the project. This, I think, by far is one of my favorite things that I like with the update is you can log your speech details, speech log details. So you could put your speech title. I'm just going to add something. I won't save it. Just to say I have something, I can put the speech date. So let's say I'm speaking tonight. I can select a club. Now, this is the one downside that I am hoping that eventually there will be a feature upgrade, but for now, we can select which club that we belong to. So if I click Riverview Canusa, then it will give me a drop-down menu. Well, it won't work today. It'll give me the drop-down list of which member I would like to assign as an evaluator. And then I'm also able to pick the project that I want to work on. And I can add a description and save the log. Now, if I am presenting, so this evening, I am doing this as a project, I will leave this spot empty. I won't pick a club. I'll leave it empty. And I'll leave the evaluator empty. I'll pick the project and I'll add a note and I'll say District 45 webinar, and I'll put the date and I'll put descriptions and who's evaluating me and put some information on here. So then at least I can save the log. If I do pick a club and I'm picking, for some reason it will work this evening, but let's say I pick Crystal. Let's say Crystal is going to be evaluating me. I can send her the evaluation form via email and she will get this right away. So this one, I won't save it. And I'll just move on to the next slide. And then I'm able to review and make sure that I've done everything and able to finalize the project. You are able to open multiple projects. You don't have to stick to just one because sometimes it's helpful to look at some other projects, especially on your electives, to see which ones you would like to do. So you can see here, level 2, I've completed these 2 projects. I'm working on this one. And you just click through some of the others. I haven't completed any of the others in other levels. I'm working through some of them, but I don't have them completed. I like that you can go back to the home screen and it brings you back to the main page. Then if we go under achievements, you can see the badges that you have for completing levels and projects. And they show up in here. And then you can also see a copy of the speech logs that you have completed. So I like this as well, to be able just to keep track of the speech logs. If you go under feedback, I did a presentation on public speaking at my work. There's 296 people. Crystal knew I was nervous, so she sent me a badge just to say congratulations on being courageous and presenting it. So these are kind of fun to be able to do. You can give some feedback, pick a club that you want to give some feedback to, pick a member, and then you can write some examples and you can give them some badges. My Riverview Canusa meeting last night, a brand new member. She's been a member for maybe 3-4 weeks now. She took on the timer role for the very first time last night. So I gave her a timer. I gave her feedback and I sent her a timer badge. And I made it visible to all clubs so all club members can see. So this is something fun. And again, it's a way to be able to encourage each other. So you have somebody here. Yes?
Can I just ask one question from the
Sure.
chat? Actually, two questions now. So Kelly asks about the feature where you can, she says, does the feature for speech slash evaluator also update free toast host, or do you need to go in there and enter your speech specifics?
Free Toast host and the club. That's a great question. Free Toast host and the Toastmaster website do not interact with each other. So if you update it here, you still also have to update it on Free Toast host.
Okay, and one more question.
Mhm.
Marcia asks if you can review the requirements for each level, and how do you know you have completed everything?
That's a good question. To me, really, is if you look back through, if I think I'm just going to go back and look for my understanding your leadership style. It's basically, it's reading through the project. I'm just trying to get through here. Trying to remember exactly which page it is, so I'll just go to here. So here I checked them off. I did the questionnaire. I assigned work with the VP education, which is actually it's myself. So I signed up to do a speech. I wrote through my speech and talked about different things. I practiced my speech. And then once I did my speech and I had my written evaluation, I marked it as complete. It's for me, this checklist is a guide to be able to tell you that to help you finish your project. You can always add some other stuff. If ever you have any questions or you're not sure if you've completed, I encourage you to talk it through with your VP education, or if you have a mentor, to talk with them as well. So I hope that answers the question.
So that's for one particular project, but what about the whole level?
What about the whole what? Sorry?
How do you know that you've completed everything in the whole level?
Oh, in the whole level.
Like it's
Yep. I'm just trying to go back to overview here. It would be to make sure that you've done the projects, the 3 projects, and you've completed them. So I know like this one is the one that I did not that long ago. I did this one. This was table topics. I still have to do this one. So let's say this evening that I did the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. I've presented it. I have somebody who's provided me a verbal evaluation. I know they're going to send me a written evaluation. Then I can go here and complete my path because I've completed all 3 projects. All 3 of them are green check mark, says it's complete. I won't be able to complete the project until such time as those are all check marked. And then in here, I would go into completing the project. So here, there's a big red mark, a big bolded line that says I need to complete all the projects before I can complete my level. So I can't complete it because I haven't completed one of the projects. But once it's completed, I would pick my club, and then this submit button would be enabled and I submit it.
So do you have to finish level 1 before you start level 2?
You can start level 2 before you complete level 1, but you can't submit. You can't complete you can't submit completion of level 2 before you have completed level 1.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can work on different projects. Like the one I'm doing this evening, I'm doing this as a level 5 project. So I will have a level 5 project completed before I have my level 2 completed. But I can't, if I had completed all 2 projects, both projects for level 5, I can't submit at level 5 completion until 1, 2, 3, and 4 are completed.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're under the level 5. It looks like there's maybe one project, and then you have to go into electives and choose a few electives.
Yeah, so in level 3, there's one required project, and you have 14 electives, and you need to pick 2 out of the 14. And it'll say here you have a requirement of 2, and they're all here. You can open them all and have a look and see what it is that appeals to you. In level 4, there's one required project and one elective that you have to pick out of 6 or 8, I forget. You need one project, there's 8 projects, and here you can see this one's checkmarked. I've actually completed my elective in level 4. I can't finish my level 4 until I have the other one complete, and I have level 2 and level 3 completed, but I have completed one of the electives in level 4.
And it looked like on that one that there was another project underneath the electives.
I am going to go back to it. I want to show it. It's really slow. This shows my project successfully because I had it open, and this one's completed. For some reason, it's not showing a green check mark. I have to double check to make sure I actually did complete it, but I know I presented it just before Christmas. So I do have to go and look and see that there was an error. But yeah. You're welcome. Wonderful technology. There we go.
Anne, would you be able to just quickly show me how you go back to where you would send somebody, or they would, I can't even speak, where
Feedback? Yeah.
get the evaluation form
Yes.
that you've sent. So I'm getting evaluation forms through for people to say, you know, would you do my evaluation online? Blah, blah. But how do I get to that to do it for mine?
So if you're under here, so let's say I'm the evaluator, and Sue, I want you to evaluate me. If you were a member of my club, I can go here and put request feedback and pick spotlight. Okay, I want Crystal, I want you to provide me with an evaluation, blah, 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 write a comment on here, and I can send the request, and Crystal will get a message. Now, unfortunately, at this point, so if you were evaluating me, you are not currently a member of one of my clubs, so I can't send it to you via Basecamp. I have to send it to you via email.
Okay. Cool.
But I also want to show something here, but you can also give feedback. So if I'm just going to go back to Crystal, I can, let's say I pick Crystal, I can give her some feedback here, or I can go into the evaluation form and fill out a digital form. So here are all the evaluation forms. Just because my internet is a little wonky, I'm just not going to expand it, but all the evaluation forms are here. You have the choice to download it or share it or edit it. You can go here and have a digital form and find the project that you want and go through in here and find them. So again, you can download it and edit it or write in it and then save it and send it, or you can share it as well. So it's another way to be able to find them here. You're also able to, if you wanted to upload files, if somebody did send you something via email. I know I have one just after Christmas. Somebody sent it to me via email, so I do want to go and save it. I'm just not going to do it this evening because my internet is a little bit unstable, but you can go and upload it here so that it saves as a resource in your base camp. And then again, all the resources are here. If you wanted to look at project resource, project descriptions, the evaluation resources, they are all here. If you wanted to filter it specifically by a level, if you wanted a different language than English, these are the languages that are available. You can go in and pick level 1, and then you can see it gives me the evaluation resources for level 1. If I want just the project descriptions, and I'm going to say level 3, it'll update and it'll give me all the descriptions for the levels. So this is something that is fun. I find a little bit more interactive, or you can clear them all and just have them all there at your disposal and just root through them. So that is helpful. I do want to also go through the Basecamp Manager section a little bit, but before I do, does anybody have any questions just on navigating Basecamp a bit?
Yeah, and it's Jim.
Yes.
Can you show us how to complete a level?
Sure. I can't finalize it because I don't have one. I don't have it. Hold on. Let me go into my level 1. It is, see if I can go into there. It is completed. If I went to level 1, my icebreaker's complete. The next 3 projects are complete. This one wouldn't be complete, level 1. I would click through this. And I'd work through it and then go, sorry, it's not go. It's just going to say that it is completed. I should have done an extra project on my level 2 so that I would have been able to complete it this evening. But I'll just go on here. If I had my introduction to Toastmasters mentoring completed, then this wouldn't be here. This big sign wouldn't be here. And it would say, you're ready to complete your project. I would have to pick the club that I belong to. I belong to 2 clubs. I'd pick it, and then the submit button would be enabled. I'd be able to submit, and then there'd be an email that goes to the club officers, and I'll show up here. There's also a message that'll come up here. And then once it's approved, or once it's submitted, it'll come up like this. Trying just to go back to my level 1. It'll come up and it'll say that it's been submitted for approval. And then once it's approved, then you will have this that says you've completed all the levels, all the projects for this level, and are ready to submit it. And then it says now it's complete.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So if I go as the Basecamp manager, before the older Basecamp, the president, vice president education, and the secretary had access to Basecamp and approvals. Now all club officers have access to Basecamp. Just because all club officers have access to Basecamp doesn't mean as a club officer, you should be approving levels. For me, yes, that is different. For me,
like why?
I am not sure why that was there, what that was done.
Wow.
But for me,
I'm sorry, I'm still reacting.
I know. For me, it's still the responsibility of the vice president education to approve the levels for club members, because they are the ones that are updating the agendas. They're the ones that are creating the agendas and are aware of member progress. Now, vice president education cannot approve their own. So as vice president education, I can't complete a level. The president usually approves that for me as the vice president of education. So to me, that is something that as a club officer, we should have discussions on and make sure that there's a clear understanding that just because a club officer has access doesn't mean that they should be approving things. There's quite a few different things in here. I do find it a lot more user-friendly as a base camp manager. So one of the things here as approval, you can see I'm currently under the Riverview Canusa base camp manager dashboard. And you can see the thing that is funny is I think it's a glitch in the system. It shows every member that used to belong to Riverview Canusa, whether they are members or not anymore. I think that's a glitch on the system because, for example, I see Maureen McIntosh has a level completed. She's not a member of Riverview Canusa, but she's showing up on there. So I think it's a little bit of a glitch, but at this time, at least there is a summary of activity.
Is she a past member, Anne?
She's a past member.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw, for instance, Horace's name in one of your pull down lists.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if he's still an active Toastmaster, not in the system, but if you're not an active Toastmaster belonging to that club, would you still see your name in those pull down lists?
No, if you're not active, his membership was paid until March 31st.
Okay.
That's
okay.
why. So we're just, his name will no longer, unfortunately, his name will no longer be there come April 1st.
Right.
But membership was paid, so.
Okay.
We miss him dearly.
Yes.
If we look here, if I go to membership overview, I get to see where the members are. And it's a great little summary. So I enjoy this here. You're able to see a member overview of all the members. Paths and progress, the same here. As base camp manager, you have access to, I find this dashboard, this list is a lot more user-friendly than the old reporting that was in the learning management system. I could never get an updated version. I could never get the data to download. I could never read the reports because they were always so hard to understand. Whereas here, this is how it comes in. So you can see. So if I look at mine, because I know so some of these are in the old systems, we're not upgrading. But if you look at Laura Lee, she's completed level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. A visionary communication. She's done 1 of 2 projects in level 5. So you're able to see member progression and see all the paths that they have. This I really enjoy as base camp manager. Now, some people have asked if you can export to Excel. You're not able to export into Excel, but you're able to look at this a whole lot easier than before.
Mm.
Yeah. And then
I'm curious. Oh,
yes?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I looked at that, the level 5, it said 1 of 2. But level 5 has a third project, which is the reflect on your path. Will I not see that reflect on your path? Like once you complete the reflect on your path will be the only time I'll see a completion for that level. Like I might see 2 of 2, which means you've done the 2 level 5 projects, but you haven't yet completed your reflection.
Yeah. Let me just go back and see it, because I think that's where there may be a discrepancy, because before on the old learning management system, you completed level 5 with your 2 project, and then before you can complete your path, you had to do on your path.
Right.
But now, with the new system, technically can't complete your level 5 until you've done your reflect on your path. But I think the one thing I forgot to check, I never thought to check, so it's a good point, Albert, where it says here path completion 0 of 1, I think the reflect on your path is here. So I think it may be showing up as here.
Okay.
But yes, that's a good point. That's something that's different from the last program. from the last learning management system, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to be able to complete or reflect on your path before officially at your level 5.
Yes.
And then there's a bit of activities here where you can check some recent activities of what's been happening for your club. There's also a section here where you should be getting an email, but also you can have your notification here. And here you can see I haven't checked my notifications, but Paul completed my level 1 2 weeks ago. So I submitted it 2 weeks ago, so it just shows that it's been approved. So you can also get some notifications of things that have been happening in the last little bit. So if I look here under my name in that little drop down menu, there's different things. So you can see my personal profile. You can see if there's any requests. So see here, Shamarita had sent me her evaluation form, and I sent it back to her. So you're able to see some requests on here about evaluations when somebody sends you a request for an evaluation. So it's a great place to be able to see it here. My clubs, it's another feature where you get to be able to see all the clubs within your club, or all the members within your club. You're able to see their profile, and you're also able to give them some feedback, again, in the form of these badges. And then here, if you wanted to just go back to the main Toastmasters page, it brings you back to the Toastmasters page. One of the other things that the new learning management system has done as well is the fact that there are monthly emails now sent to some club officers that gives you an update as to who has done what within their Pathways project. So that's kind of fun as well. And I'm just trying to see if there was anything else that I wanted to really touch base on. Does anybody else have any questions? I'm just going back to the base camp. But for me, it's really go play around with it. Go. It doesn't hurt to open some projects. Just try not to complete a project until you know you have presented your speech and done all the things that are there. You won't be able to submit a level until you've completed all of the projects. So again, like I had showed in my level 2, I can't submit completion of level 2 until I've finished the introduction to Toastmasters mentoring project. So once that's complete, then I can submit my level 2. But otherwise, go around, play around, look at it, look through your projects, get comfortable, get familiar, use the new features, write down some things and your thoughts, and see how you are progressing, because then you're able to go back and look at it. One of the things that, because this is my 11th path, I've done the understanding your leadership style numerous times, and I've been keeping track. And one of the things that I wanted to add in here, and I haven't yet, but I think I can maybe still go and edit it, is I've kept track of some of my previous past projects. I think I've done this project maybe 8 times, and I think at least the last 5 times I've done it, I've kept track of what my leadership score is. Some of them are in a previous computer that I don't have access to, or are probably hard copies, so I'd have to go digging and looking into my my projects. But I did, once I completed this is, and I'll share it, I don't mind sharing it. These are the results from my quiz that I did earlier, because I wanted to go back in here and add some of the results from the previous time, because you can see that I'm starting to become a more well-rounded leader. I still have a long ways to go, but the fact, and the numbers, the calculations different from the previous learning management system. They've updated the counting a little bit, but it's just interesting to see as somebody who's worked through numerous paths, somebody who always finds something new to learn and something to improve upon, how my leadership has evolved over time and how these characteristics have changed over time. So it's really interesting. So go in and have fun with learning with these. And I know the district leadership is there, your area director, your division director, your vice president education. I'm there. We're there to answer questions or help in any way possible.
Thank
But
you.
that was essentially, sorry, all I had to cover today. Was there, Jenny, did you have something?
I think Tom had a question, and
yes.
then Albert.
Hey, Jenny, great. I'm sorry, Anne, great presentation. Really learned a couple of cool things here. Wanted to ask about returning members. As far as, if, under the old system, it has to be one of the 6 paths. I understand that, but can they pick up if it is one of the 6 paths where they left off?
They should be able to, if they had a project that was started or a path that was started, it should still be available to them.
Okay.
It may just look a little bit different. See here, now that I'm thinking of it, the strategic relationship path, it was in progress when we moved into the learning management system. I had completed a lot of the projects, but you can see here in brackets, it says legacy. So this means that I had purchased it and I had been working on it in the old learning management system. So it'll come up a little bit different. You see here, it says full screen. We'll see if it actually opens. So it will look different, but if you have a member that had a path purchased prior to the migration, or if you had a member who's no longer active and have come back, they should be able to access and continue where they left off. It'll just look differently. Sure. So you can see this is the old program or the old look and feel under the old learning management system, because this was a project that I had started before the migration in October. So this still looks the same as the old one. The information is still the same. It's the look and feel. The content itself hasn't changed, except maybe those questions and those prompts that you get to answer. Those are there in the legacy one, but the content itself is still there.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne.
You're welcome. So thanks for that. I forgot to cover that part. But yeah, you can see that, and I'm still able to access. This path has been completed, but I'm still able to access the material from the completed paths. Again, it just looks different because this is a legacy one.
Thanks, Anne. And then a question from Albert.
Hi, Anne. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm going to go back to the fact that everybody can approve. Can I ask, how did you learn that? Was that just through experience? Did Toastmasters announce that in some way? I know they put together a manual where they talked about the changes, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I went to a training right after. It was a Toastmasters International training that had been offered by someone, and I went in and they mentioned it there. And I remember going to one of my clubs and double checking to see if they all had access to it.
Wow, that seems anti-intuitive to me. It really should be the president. I know they had the president, the secretary, but I almost think it should just be the president or the VPE, and each can shadow each other if need be to approve.
I do get sometimes that 3 sometimes is not enough for the most part. For example, I had, when I was vice president education for one of the clubs, the president had to go away for a few weeks. It was 4 to 8 weeks, I forget, but for work, they had to be away. So they weren't able to approve things. So then I had the secretary approve things for me. But if the secretary is away traveling or is ill, then there's nobody approving my levels. So I get sometimes that 3 may not be enough, especially for the vice
Right.
education. But with 7 members having access to
Mhm.
the base camp, for me, it's important for the club officers to have a process in place to make sure that
Right.
not everybody just approves it. But then
And
it
I,
also perhaps gives a little bit of an idea to a club officer who may be interested in learning more about the vice president education. They
right.
have the ability at least to be able to see a little bit on the back end how things get approved or how things work.
Perhaps TI got feedback like those anecdotes you just shared, and that's why they made the change with this upgrade.
Perhaps.
Hey, thank
But
you.
you're welcome. But no, I do find there's a lot more intuitive things. It's a lot more user friendly. I really enjoy the features of being able to send and receive feedback, update my speech log information, and be able to track all of that. That is fun. The ability to look through. I know we had one member who I was sure had completed a level, and then he was trying to complete it was a newer member, then they were trying to complete a level 2, and they couldn't understand why they couldn't get a level 2. I was able to go as the base camp manager. I was able to go under here, under my clubs, go click on that person's profile, and I was able to see that they had not completed their level. So that was on me as the vice president of education because I thought I had told them that it was done. I was trying to pick. I don't want to click on somebody's profile that they're not here, but I want to see, like if I go to Horace's profile for a minute, I'm able to see if he's added some information and I can see his path progress. So you can see what path he's working on. So I'd be able to click on some of these paths and then be able to see a little bit maybe more in detail and help as a club officer be able to help him complete some of his levels as well. So
Marion has a question.
yes, Marion.
Yes, and in his reference to Albert, it was publicized what the changes were for the new learning management system. And part of that was the fact that every executive member was now a base camp manager. What they did advise, though, was that each club make a decision on who should be the primary approver. And then, of course, and if someone is away and something doesn't get approved, then there's more members to approve. But it was to help educate the rest of the executive in what Pathways is and what base camp manager is. But usually the clubs make a decision that, yes, the VPE is the primary, then the next one is the president, and the next one is the secretary. But it can be any executive, which relieves the onus on those 3 people to always have to be checking.
Thank you, Marion. I didn't have the answer right on tip of my fingers, but I figured it was something like that. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
I do love the idea that it allows other club members to kind of see what that process looks like. I know in a lot of clubs I've been in the past, the same people end up being the same roles. So it is a good idea for that reason, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Anne before Albert?
And this happens a fair bit, sometimes somebody oversteps or forgets, or for whatever reason, there's a miscommunication. They approve a path completion or they approve a project completion that wasn't completed. And the member says to them, I wasn't completed that. Is there an easy way to reverse that submission that was made in error? can you contact World Headquarters and they reverse that? Marion,
No.
you're nodding your head.
You're not able to reverse those. So to me, as the vice president of education and as the member, you'd have to be able to keep track that a level was completed in error. But yeah, that's Marion.
That happened by mistake in my club. They didn't realize that when they clicked next that it was done. So and I thought they were. So because they're a member of more than one club. So I approved it. And then I discovered that they said, no, that was a mistake. So then we went back and said, okay, do that project next in our club. Actually do it. So you will have physically completed everything in that level. It wasn't a full path. It was an actual level, but it was just a mistake and it got by everybody. And before the person could reach out and say, no, I did that by mistake.
It's a pity that it can't be reversed with this new LMS, just on the off chance.
It never was able to be reversed, even in the old pathways.
Yeah, that's correct. One of the things that I also find helpful is if you go under, I'm going to try to share my screen again, under the District 45 website, under the pathways, if you go under resources and pathways, if you scroll way down to the bottom, I don't know if it's been updated yet, but if you go to the pathways personal tracking chart, I often, because I am a member of two clubs, I've been a member of 3 clubs before. I have opportunities to present outside of the club. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all your paths and projects, especially when you have multiple paths. So you can keep track of them here. They show still all the 11 paths because some members actually have or had them beforehand. So you can keep track of the projects that you've done. So you can put the date that you did the speech, the title, which club, and which evaluator. And it's a great tool to be able to keep track. And I'm trying to see, I don't have mine open. I had it open earlier, but I think I closed it when I had to jump on this call. But I use it, and I used it even this morning when I was updating that I was working on a project for this evening. So it's an opportunity to keep track, and this also is another way to be able to, especially with the level 1 or the evaluation and feedback, you have 2 speeches to give and an evaluation, so that's 3 pieces. So it's you can easily forget that you have a 3rd piece to complete. But if you have it here and say, oh, I evaluated Marion at her club on this date, well, then that is here. And then I always add a comment here on the end that says completed but not submitted, or completed and submitted on this date, approved by VPE on this date, even just to have kind of for myself more as a reminder, or to be able to say, hey Marion, I submitted this to you last Monday. It's not been approved yet. Could you go and have a look at it? Did you get it? Did it go to you? Did I do something wrong? Did I not complete it? So it's another way to be able to track. So I really like this tool.
Did you design that yourself, Anne?
Pardon me?
Did you design that yourself?
No, there's another Toastmaster that has designed that one. And it is a great tool to have. And honestly, because I was working on multiple paths, I started color coding my projects, my tabs. So the ones that I was working on, I had these in green, and the ones that were complete, I had them in red, just so that I knew as a kind of a quick tip to see which ones I was working on. And sometimes I'd highlight ones that I was currently working on, or ones that I had started, because some of the higher level projects, there could be, you may have to do 2 speeches, or like leading in your volunteer organization. You may have to, okay, I'm going to start this one because I'm vice president of education. So I'm starting it July 1st. I started reading through it, but I can't complete it until I've done at least 6 months. I can't do my speech until January, but sometimes I may highlight it to say, okay, it's one that I'm working on, but I can't do the speech until January 2025. Oh, we're now January 2025.
It's a really good idea.
I could finish on that. So
Where do we get a copy of it from?
it's on the District 45 page. So if you go to District 45
Yeah,
and then click on resources and click on
Yeah.
pathways, it's on way on the bottom. And same as this District 57 pathways, path and competencies. It's the pathways Bible, I call it. I'm in there all the time, especially as Vice President Education, because members often have trouble figuring out projects and they don't know which project to work on. So I often, if I'm going to meet with them, I often have this open and I say, okay, which project, which path are you in? All right, you're in the presentation mastery path. Okay, what's been going on in your life? Do you have anything to do at work? Do you have a birthday party you have to organize? Do you have this or that? Or what's going on with work? And then we look through and find some projects for them. I had a member doing something, I can't remember what they were doing. Oh, I had a member, a Toastmaster colleague. I attended a work meeting with the clerk of Privy Council, and Toastmaster colleague was at a meeting on a panel presentation with the clerk of the Privy Council, with an assistant deputy minister, with a director. And I asked him, I said, did you do this as a project? Because I'm like, you are speaking publicly for your job in front of hundreds and hundreds of public servants. I said, please make sure that you've done this as a project. And he was looking through which projects that he could account that speech towards. So there's so many things here that is able to help you as well on the District 45 website. My apologies, I'm looking at the time. We're past time.
Thank you so much, Anne. This has been very, very helpful. I know I learned a lot by watching you go through that, and I'm excited to go through again and check some of the features out myself. So thank you very much. I hope everyone learned a little something new tonight. I am going to stop the recording.